Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the True Purpose of Life. Today we are going to discuss the fiery cart horse and its rider. Now, this knowledge involves all of us because we are living the last days of this present-day human society, and the four horses the four horses are at the gallop since 1914 and will end their course in Armageddon. So we that are still alive are affected by the activity and the influence of this red horse. Now, toward the end of Jesus' ministry on earth, his disciples asked him privately, uh, according to Matthew chapter 24, verse 3, 7, and 8, and in Luke chapter 21, 10, and 11 are some scriptures you can look by yourself. What will be the sign of your presence, they said to Christ, and of the conclusion of the system of things? In reply, Jesus told them calamities that would be a beginning of pangs of distress. So he said to them, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be great earthquakes in one place after another, pestilences like COVID-19, and food shortages. And there will be fearful sights, and from heaven great signs. Now, the things John sees when the remaining seals of the scroll are opened provide a remarkable parallel to that prophecy that we just mentioned. Now, Revelation chapter 6, verse 3 says, let's start with the explanations here. When he opened the second seal, right? When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, come. So, who opened the second seal? The same as with the first, and all seven seals are opened by the resurrected Jesus Christ, or Michael. Only he had this authority. Now, I heard the second living creature, says John, which invites him by saying, come. Now, the first living creature was lion-like, so he was like a lion. Justice, courage to carry on warfare against wickedness. The white horse and its rider. Now here we have the red horse and its rider. So the second living creature, that is like a bull, invites John to come to show him the signs. Now, bulls are known for their power. So power is the dominant quality of a young bull. But this power is used righteously based to this living creature. In contrast, though, John is now to see a hideous, death-dealing display of power. How then is this second summons to come? Now, John continues in verse 4 of chapter 6. And another came forth, a fiery colored horse, and to the one seated upon it there was granted to take peace away from the earth, so that they should slaughter one another, and a great sword was given him. Now, since 1914, human society has not experienced peace. Peace is taken away from the earth since 1914. This is the time when Jesus was appointed as king in heaven, and along with his angels, they threw Satan and his demons out of heaven and cleaned the heaven up from that garbage. Now, these bad spirit creatures, these wicked spirit creatures, Satan and his demons, other angels, fallen angels, they are in the vicinity of the earth, and they control, influence, motivate, and inspire world leaders to start wars. So we had all these brilliant people in 1914, brilliant humans, that instead of working for peace, they worked for war. So we had Germany, Austria, Hungary started the war, and was a bloodsheddy war. So wars used to take place in the past before 1914, but is a big difference. Battles and wars that took place before 1914 in comparison with the First World War. That's why the First World War is called the war, because it was unique in itself. Now, so the red horse and its rider, dressed in red, like a Roman soldier in a sense, this symbolizes war, and usually in war we are dealing with cruel, man-made international warfare with needless bloodshed and pain. On the other hand, the war, the war taken by the first horseman of Apocalypse, who is Jesus Christ, that is different war, is a righteous, victorious warfare. He is the rider that or conquering rider, king of Jehovah, that is going to bring peace on the earth. That's why Jesus is called the Prince of Peace. That's here we see the second rider is not pleasant for us, because he is in opposition with the white horse, but the red horse and two other horses behind him, they have no choice, because the rider of the white horse, Jesus Christ, has caused Satan and his demons to generate warfare, to generate famine, to generate sickness on the earth. So behind the red horse and its rider, black horse and its rider, and the pale horse and its rider, is Satan the devil and his demons, powerful angels but wicked ones, that cause all the problems that we face today since 1914. Certainly, John would want no part with this horseman, the red one, and his headlong ride. For it has been prophesied concerning God's people, neither will they learn war anymore. So God's people, since 1914 and even today, they know no war. They don't go to military, they don't touch the weapons, they don't fight the wars of Satan the devil and these wicked human governments, like in Russia against Ukraine, needless things. Now John, even still in the world, at that time, by extension, the John class, that we have the John class, yes, and the great crowd today are not part of this bloodshed system or blood-stained system. This system means, or the world means, yes, this human society or this system of things. Now, John himself, under inspiration, wrote in 98 CE. He said, "Our weapons are spiritual and powerful by God, for actively proclaim the truth apart from carnal warfare." Yes. So let's read why we, as Jehovah's people, cannot be part of this world that is ruled from Satan the devil and his demons. Now, let's go to John chapter 17, verse 11, and get this point. John 17, verse 11, it says, "I am no longer in the world," Jesus said to his disciples, to his Father, I'm sorry, because this is his prayer here. Lengthy prayer. All chapter 17 of John is Jesus' prayer to his Father. "I am no longer in the world, but they are in the world." He was directing the attention here to his disciples. "And I am coming to you," he says to his Father. "Holy Father, watch over them on account of your own name, which you have given me, so that they may be one, just as we are one." Jesus says to his Father. One in what? One in unity, not in blood and flesh. Now, let's go to 2 Corinthians 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And let's see verse 3 and 4. This is interesting point. "For though we walk in the flesh," Paul said to Corinthians, "we do not wage warfare according to what we are in the flesh." Means that we don't touch weapons, we don't touch the sword. Even Jesus told Peter, when he was still on earth, "Return the sword to its sheath, because who touches the sword will perish by the sword." "For the weapon," says in verse 4, "of our warfare are not fleshly, but powerful by God, for overturning strongly entrenched things." So we have spiritual weapons. So what we are discussing here in the book of Revelation, this is called a weapon, spiritual one, because you are getting equipped with this powerful knowledge, accurate knowledge of the scriptures that make you equipped for every good work, according to 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16 and 17. So we need to know the scriptures by heart, because this built our faith, and our faith inspired us toward good actions, toward spiritual actions, to help people to come to know Jehovah, his Christ, his kingdom government, and their purpose for obedient mankind on the earth. Now, as I mentioned before, there have been many wars before 1914, the year when the rider of the white horse, right, received his crown. So before Jesus received his crown as king, because he had sat since 33 CE until 1914 to the right side of his father, waiting until Satan to be thrown out of heaven to the earth with his demons, and the heavens to be clean from this dirt, he was going to rule as king, right? So even before 1914 there were wars and battles and conflicts and things like that, but But now the rider of the red horse is given a great sword. So is different sword from what had happened before Christ was ruling as king in 1914. With the eruption of the World War First, human warfare becomes more sanguinary, I can say, or bloody, more destructive than ever before. During the 1914 to 1918 bloodbath, tanks, poison gas, airplanes, submarines, huge cannons, and automatic weapons were used either for the first time or on an unprecedented scale. So, in some 28 nations at that time, whole populations, not just professional soldiers, were pressed into the war efforts. Even peasants that they were going to grow crops, they were taken to war. That's why war caused famine, because nobody was going to take care of the crops. Casualties were horrendous. More than 9 million soldiers were slaughtered, and civilian casualties were astronomical. Even with the end of the war, there was no return to real peace on earth. More than 50 years after that war, German statesman Konrad Adenauer commented, "Security and quiet have disappeared from the lives of man," he said, "since 1914. It was indeed granted to the rider of the fiery colored horse to take peace away from the earth." So, since 1914, if you are looking for peace, there is none. Humans are looking for peace, even financially, economically, emotionally. They find it none. It's very difficult to find peace because Satan and his demons will make sure that you are going to have trouble all the time. These wicked spirit forces are very active on the surface of the earth, and they want humans to have no peace, to have no security, to be in fear constantly, and even to the point of they fainting out because of the anxieties that they are going through. That's why the rider of the red horse is one of the most powerful reasons why peace is taken away from the surface of the earth. Now, with his thirst, for blood wetted, the rider of the red horse plunged into World War II. So now we are not dealing only with the First World War that left an impact in human society, something that is felt even today. But we have, soon after, a matter of 20 years, 22 years, another war, more bloody, more sanguinary than the first. The Second World War. Instruments of slaughter became ever more fiendish, and casualties skyrocketed to 4 times those of World War II. In 1945, 2 atomic or atom bombs burst over Japan, each one annihilating in a flash tens of thousands of victims. During the Second World War, the rider of the red horse reaped a huge harvest of some 55 million lives. And even then, he was not satisfied. So this rider in the red horse was hungry and thirsty for blood. It is reliably reported that at least 19 million souls from 1945 to 1987 have fallen under the great sword since then. But today have been another 20 million from 1987 silently in many warfares, guerrilla battles, terrorism, and so on, that innocent humans have lost their lives. Now, could we call this a triumph for military technology? Because technology developed greatly from 1914 onward, and the weaponry was so modern that can wipe out human lives in a short period of time. It's not like with a sword and bow like in the past. We are talking here for mass destruction weapons. Now, a testimony that the merciless red horse is at the gallop shows that the technology has benefited this rider. And where will that gallop ends? A good question. So, as I mentioned, the gallop started in 1914 as Satan was thrown out of heaven with his demons and caused this rider to gallop toward mass human destruction, taking the lives of millions for a short period of time. And this is going to end in Armageddon. Now, some scientists forecast mathematically that an accidental nuclear war is virtually certain to take place within the next 25 years. So these scientists were having a meeting in 1985. So from 1985, all right, 25 years, they end up when? They end up in 2010, but nothing happened. No nuclear weapon was used in 2010, so they were wrong. Why? Because happily the conquering rider of the white horse, Jesus Christ, or Michael, has other thoughts about this. So we had the First World War, Second World War. In the book of Revelation, we are going to learn that both of these wars were prophesied that were going to take place. But there is no other world war prophesied in the book of Revelation that was going to take place. None. We have conflicts, we have battles, we have little wars here, nation against nation, but not in a worldwide scale as the First World War and Second World War. So even scientists predicted that was going to happen, take place. From 2010 to we are in 2022, still nothing is used because that is not going to take place. Even though they have spent billions of dollars in these weapons, powerful nations like Russia and China and United States, they will not be able to use them because the rider of the white horse, Jesus Christ, will not permit them. Now, as long as society is based on nationalistic pride and hatred, mankind must continue to sit on a keg of nuclear peril. So it's a difference now. Being in fear, being apprehensive, be nervous if one country is going to use them, right, is a different thing of implementing that action, using them. So fear is going to be there, but weapons of nuclear weapons will never be used. This is a guarantee, because as I mentioned, the rider of the white horse give us this guarantee. Even if the nations, out of desperation, should scrap all nuclear firepower, they would retain the know-how. In short order, they could reproduce their murderous nuclear devices. Hence, any war with conventional weapons could soon mushroom into a holocaust. The pride and hatred that envelop the nations today must lead to humanity's suicide unless the rider, as we mentioned now for the third time, of the white horse should head of the mad gallop of the fiery colored mount. So Christ will not permit that, as I mentioned. We know that he is going to bring Armageddon. He's going to wipe out this human society that is disobedient, doesn't want to be subject of his heavenly kingdom government. Yes, they will be put to sleep. Many of them for good, going directly to the second death with no hope of resurrection, but not in a way of nuclear weapons. Let us be confident that Christ the King will ride both to complete his conquest over the world controlled by Satan and to establish a new earthly society based on love. Love of God and neighbor, a force for peace far, far superior to the shaky nuclear deterrence of our modern times. So let's see the hope that we have, my friends. Let's go, take your Bible, and let's go to Psalms chapter 37, verse 9 to 11. Let's analyze this hope, this beautiful, beautiful security that the Bible gives us. Chapter 37, verse 9 to 11. For evil men will be done away with when in Armageddon, but those hoping in Jehovah will possess the earth after the final test. However, from Armageddon, during the millennium, until the final test, we all, as the great crowd, survivors of Armageddon and the Great Tribulation, together with the resurrected righteous and the unrighteous, will transform this beautiful planet for 1,000 years into a paradisaic environment. 10. Just a little while longer, and the wicked will be no more. So, the wicked people will be put to eternal sleep, and the wicked one, at the final test, Satan, the devil, and his demons will die forever. They will no longer exist. You will look at where they were. So you will look to where your wicked neighbors were. And they will not be there. So you will try to find them, but they will not be there. They are gone forever. So you will be surrounded with righteous people, people that are full of love, people that are overwhelmed with great intentions, beautiful intentions, spiritual, moral, physical intentions that are to benefit you personally and others around you. Now, verse 11, but the meek will possess the earth. You are called the humble, the meek, the gentle. And they will find exquisite delight in the abundance of peace. So peace on the earth, because we'll possess the earth doesn't say we'll possess the heaven. In the heaven are 24 elders, the angels, the four living creatures. That's it. But you and me will be here on earth because Adam was made for the earth with Eve, and the earth was made for them. So we'll take charge of the earth, transforming it into a paradise. Now, let's go to Mark chapter 12. Let's go to Mark. Okay. Mark, the second book of the Christian Greek Scriptures, chapter 12, verse 29 to 31. Verse 29 to 31. Jesus answered, the first is, Hear, O Israel, Jehovah our God is one Jehovah. Is not three, is not Trinity. And you must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart, and with your whole soul, and with your whole mind, and with your whole strength. Alright? The second is this: you must love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than this. So, loving Jehovah and loving your neighbor is the priority. So we will be surrounded with people that will love us. Money will not exist. So everything that we do for each other will not do it out of any fleshly, carnal selfishness. We'll do it based on love. Love of mind and love of heart. We will be built up with this beautiful quality of love to benefit one another, to benefit the other creatures, and to benefit this beautiful planet. Now, let's go to Revelation chapter 21, verse 1 to 5. Revelation. We are going to explain chapter 21 of Revelation in time, and we'll do the videos for this verse by verse, but today we will see something beautiful. Probably is the first time for you to hear this. Revelation chapter 21, verse 1 to 5. It says, And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. We are talking here for God's heavenly kingdom government, new heaven. And the new earth is the new human society here on the earth when the wicked are wiped out. For the former heaven, or the former governments of this earth, including Satan, the devil, and his demons, and the former earth, this present day human society that is going to perish, be put to sleep forever, had passed away or died. And the sea is no more. So the sea is the turbulent mankind under warfare conditions, like during First World War and Second World War. All these nations that were involved in these wars, they were called the sea, because sea is raging. No one is secure on the waves of the sea. Unless you put your feet on the ground, you don't feel secure. So today the sea is in Ukraine and Russia, right? Especially in Ukraine, because there is warfare. So no one is safe there. So the sea is no more. I also saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, which is, as I mentioned, new heaven, right? New heaven, New Jerusalem means that God's heavenly kingdom government coming down out of heaven from God means that they will take care and direct the matters of the earth, and prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So New Jerusalem is Jesus' bride, because Jesus is the bridegroom. New Jerusalem is called the bride of Christ. So they are married to each other. So Jesus, as we are going to mention in relation with Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, is the primary seed of the woman, or God's heavenly God's heavenly organization of angels. and 144,000 are the secondary seed. Both Jesus as the primary seed plus 144,000 constitute God's heavenly kingdom government. Now, with that I heard a loud voice from the throne say, so from the throne, who is the loud voice from the throne? The throne of Jehovah is Jehovah himself. Look, the tent of God is with mankind, and he will reside with them in unity and love and direction, and in spirituality, in spiritual condition. And they will be his people, and God himself will be with them. So Jehovah will never leave us, he will never forsake us, he will be with us constantly. And he will wipe out every tear from their eyes. Now, we'll cry. Jehovah made our eyes with tears, but he made our eyes with tears to wash our eyes, and especially tears of joy, not tears of sadness, because otherwise we will not see the harmony of what we are eating here. So, and he will wipe out every tear from their eyes. Doesn't mean again that we'll not have tears, but we'll have tears of joy. And death will be no more, neither will mourning, no outcry, no pain be anymore. So when there is no death, death is constituted the last enemy biblically. So Jehovah is going to eliminate this enemy forever. We can live 1 billion years as long as death is our destination. At last, we are not happy because we know that we are coming close to that enemy. But when that enemy is eliminated forever, so living 1 billion years in comparison with everlasting life is less than a second, time-wise. So death will be no more. Neither will mourning, means that we'll not mourning anymore because we have peace. The red horse with its rider are dead. They will not exist anymore. No outcry, no pain be anymore. The former things have passed away. So wickedness, including the red horse, the black horse that we are going to learn next time, and the pale horse and the grave will disappear once for all time from the surface of the earth. The righteous, we will possess this beautiful planet with peace, joy, and love. Now, let's see a point here when it comes to the rider of the red horse, that he is here to take the peace away from us. Let's see some statistics. Where is technology leading, right? The Globe and Mail, Toronto, Canada, January 22nd, 1987. So from 1944 to 1987, we are talking for how many years? We are talking for 43 years. Now from 87 to 2022, we are talking for how long, right? We are talking here for 35 years, another for 35 years. So we are, here we are bringing to light just half of that time. Just 43 years, right? Half of the time from 97. We are not discussing 87 to today. We are discussing from 45 to 87. The first period from after Second World War. What's happened when it comes to technology and weaponry? So Toronto Globe and Mail of Toronto, Canada, reported the following from the speech by Ivan L. Head, president of the International Development Research Center. It says, it is reliably estimated that 1 out of every 4 scientists and technologists in the world engaged in research and development in working on weapons. My goodness. At 1986 rates, the expenditure is more than $1.5 million a minute. My goodness, they have invested, just United States and Great Britain, right? These two countries, they have invested 1.5 million a minute for weaponry. Are we all more secure, says this Globe and Mail, as a result of this kind of technological emphasis? The nuclear arsenals possessed by the superpowers contain the explosive force of all the munitions expended by all the combatants in all of the Second World War times 6,000. My goodness. So the weapons that are from 1945 to 1987, 86, right? In comparison with Second World War weaponry, my goodness, 6,000 times more powerful, 6,000 second world wars, 6,000 second world wars. Since 1945, there have been less than 7 weeks when the world has been free of military activity. So it did not last 7 weeks, did not last a month and a half. The conflicts and other wars and battles started from then on. So the peace did not last. Why? Because the rider of the red horse cannot permit that. Now, there have been more than 150 wars. We are talking here from 1945 to 1987. So there have been 150 wars of an international or civil nature. Wow, because many of them, they are silent. So in those years, nobody had TV. Not many people had the TV except the Western countries. Some Eastern countries had some radio, but they could. Many countries did not cover these 150 wars that took place at that time in detail. So they were neglected until things until the league became too big for them to cover in news. So there have been more than 150 wars of an international or a civil nature, which are estimated to have claimed 19.3 million lives, most of them as the result of the efficient new technologies that have emerged in this era of the United Nations. So United Nations was established in 1945. It was the same League of Nations but took different title and could not do anything. It's like a beast that have no teeth, bites but cause no harm. So United Nations and League of Nations could not stop the rider of the red horse, to slow it at least a little bit down. So what United Nations is doing right now when it comes to the red horse and its rider in Ukraine? Nothing. But things will develop in a way that we are going to explain with the rest of the chapters in the book of Revelation, how things are going to take place based on this wild beast United Nations with 7 heads and 10 horns. But next time we will concentrate our attention extensively to the black horse. Thank you for listening, and if you have any question, please write me at the True purposeoflife@gmail.com. And the reason of this knowledge is not just head knowledge, but has to do for you to come to accurate knowledge of what we are discussing here, and being part of Jehovah's visible organization here on the earth gradually by taking this knowledge, as I mentioned, toward its accuracy. Thank you, and I see you to the black horse which plunges forth.